First, I just want to get your initial reaction here just to what Alec Baldwin said, which is his investigators spoke with people from the sheriff's office, and they said, oh, yeah, we've known since January he's not. There aren't going to be charges here. Does that sound reliable? Would you bank on it, Al Wunsch?
Well, you know, Vin, hey, my, Russ never sleeps and Baldwin never shuts up. It's ridiculous. I mean, you know, it's funny to me. As much as he hates Trump, he's acting just like him. And this is type of a situation to say, oh, you know, I wasn't satisfied with the way this thing was going, so I put my own people on, and they came back to me and they said, you're not a suspect. You're not going to be charged criminally. What is he supposed to say? You know, you dance with the one who brought you. So if I was him, I'd keep his mouth shut, okay? I would stay quiet and just let the rust on the case. But it's got to a point, like I said before, Russ never sleeps and he never shuts up. And that's very troublesome.
Darnell, if you were his attorney, would you be calm knowing that your investigators went in there and got information from the sheriff's office that they knew since January that there weren't going to be any charges against Alec Baldwin?
Absolutely not. The way this works from a pragmatic standpoint is, as you said in the opener, the police officers or the sheriff's department, they make what they call an application for arrest warrant. So they have to go to the DA's office and say, here, this is what we found. And the DA will make a determination of whether it's probable cause or not. Typically, in Connecticut, for one, once the DA signs off on it, they still have to go into the judge's chambers and say, this is what we have. They have to hold their hands up. They have to swear out this affidavit. And then the judge makes a decision. So if the guys at the sheriff's department maybe are Alec Baldwin fans and they feel like, don't worry about it, we're okay, we won't make an application, then maybe they could feel happy about that. But typically, you just kind of keep your mouth shut and hope that no application is made. So no, if I was the lawyers, I wouldn't feel too confident, but I'll be telling my client, show remorse, show empathy for the lady who died, and leave the investigations to the DA and to the police officers and just be quiet.
All right, now let's go through this. I've got 4 cases now where people were charged from around the country for accidental shootings. I'll read you a summary of what the case is, and then you tell me why this person should be charged and Alec Baldwin shouldn't, kind of comparing them. Al, you get the first one. This is from the Post and Courier. Johns Island man charged with manslaughter in accidental death. Earlier in the day, Herwig said he unloaded his .22 caliber revolver and dry fired it with the victim, records state. When he later picked up the gun, he believed it was unloaded, he told investigators. But when he cocked the revolver, it went off in his lap, striking the victim, records state. Investigators determined Herwig acted with reckless disregard and negligence in the shooting. Why should that person be charged and not Alec Baldwin?
You got me by that one, because that's almost exactly what happened with Alec Baldwin's situation. The only difference is that Herwig is not Alec Baldwin, and you know he's not a celebrity. And it wasn't a movie set, and it wasn't. You know, it might be a little bit different from a standpoint of totality of the circumstances. It's a gun on a set, so maybe you know he's given the benefit of the doubt that there's people supposed to have checked these things beforehand. Whereas this guy is sitting there, you know, doing his own so-called check, and then the gun goes off while it's in his lap. So I can see there's a slight difference with that. It's a controlled setting with Alec Baldwin as opposed to Mr. Herwig.
Next one, Darnell, Delaware Online. Court records detail how Georgetown man and gunsmith accidentally shot and killed his mother. Police determined Walls had been working on the shotgun, which belonged to a friend, in a shed on an adjacent property, court documents say. The gun had been having an unknown mechanical issue, which Walls had supposedly been able to fix, according to court documents, and he brought the gun inside to show his mother. Walls placed the barrel of the weapon on the armrest of the chair she was sitting in, the warrant says, and racked the weapon several times. The gun went off and shot her in the lower abdomen, according to court documents. So this guy is a gunsmith. He is an expert. and it accidentally went off. He's charged with a crime. How is that different?
It's extremely different. As Al alluded to, when you have an armorer on a set who's responsible for making sure the gun is safe, you hand it to the actor who's supposed to act like he's handling a real gun. He's supposed to have his finger on the trigger. We in the Hollywood audience are supposed to think that this is real. So I don't know why they had all this talk about his finger being on the trigger. It should be on the trigger, but the armorer should have made sure that it was safe. In this particular case that you just mentioned, this individual should not bring a gun into a house and be racking a gun around civilians, let alone his mother. So I think that that was what they call reckless indifference for human life or extreme negligence.
But he thought it was unloaded based upon his expertise.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. When you train with guns, they say always treat a gun as though it's loaded. Whenever you have a gun, it's
Alec
loaded.
Baldwin didn't treat it as if it was loaded.
He doesn't have to because and that's a
why? Because he's an actor.
Hollywood. No, yes, exactly. Because the armorer says to him, "It's unloaded." So now you can proceed to act as though the gun is unloaded. Acting and real life is two different things. Back to this living room. You don't walk in a living room with a gun and you're going to show your mother, show and tell. You're going to rack the gun and play around with it. You're supposed to be in a controlled environment like Alec thought he was in. And so in this particular case, I think that that was a proper charge because it's extreme negligence. He should have been in the shed doing that. And even when you go to jails, they have this little tube. And if you're going to rack a gun, you put the gun down in the tube and you rack it in the tube. You clear it before you walk into the prison or walk into a police station. And so he can't be clearing his gun on a couch. I mean, this makes no sense to me.
Next one from KUSA 9 News. Al, this is for you. Police, father arrested after accidentally shooting son in Commerce City. Police said the shooting happened upstairs in the home where Smith Sr. was showing his guns to the victim and others. A witness told police Smith Sr. took a round out of the chamber to unload one of the guns and sat the round on the vanity in front of them. Then when Smith Sr. moved the shotgun's forend, it went off, hitting the victim, according to an arrest affidavit. Police said Smith Sr. told officers he was just showing them and that it doesn't even have a magazine. I even took one out, he said, according to the affidavit. I thought it was unloaded. Alec Baldwin thought it was unloaded too.
Once again, it's you've got to take it in a totality of the circumstances, and that this is the guy who had control of the weapon, and then he discharged.
Doesn't whoever has the weapon in their hand have control of the weapon?
Not necessarily in a situation, a controlled situation where it's handed to him by an armorer, okay, on a closed set, on a controlled set, when there's supposed to be safety factors that are being followed. It's a different scenario. In this case, where the guy's playing with it to show off to these kids, I mean, you know, it's stupid. I mean, it's just plain stupid. And that's what he's charged with. I'm sure he wasn't charged with murder. I mean, he was charged just with being stupid. You know, I mean, let's take a look at the fact that we had a vice president that shot someone on a hunting spree, and he wasn't charged with murder. He wasn't charged with anything either. Okay, it happens. In this instance, the situation with regards to Baldwin, an unfortunate accident, just like these other cases.
I don't know, Al, what you're telling me, it sounds like
behavior,
vice presidents and actors don't get charged, but ordinary guys like Smith Sr. in a tragic moment where he shoots his own son does get charged. That's what you described to me. Sounds like power and privilege.
I'm just telling you the truth, Vin. That's what I'm
here for. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
In vino veritus.
Yeah, exactly, whatever that means.